Hi everybody, it's great to be here. It's awesome to be part of. We're kickstarting the virtual community of people and working and interested in craft beer around Southeast Asia and around Asia as a whole, not just Southeast Asia, I should say. So as Charles said, today I'm going to talk a bit about, over the next 15, 20 minutes, some tactics and strategies and ideas that you can take and use, and just some thoughts of mine as well, because it is Friday afternoon, so we don't want to get too serious and too intense. What we want to do is basically give some suggestions, some tactics, and hopefully, you can leave this session with a few ideas and a few suggestions on how you can change your marketing and upgrade your marketing, considering these very, very challenging times and circumstances we find ourselves in. So just to introduce, I think Charles has already introduced Beer Asia, so I can power through that already, but you can find us on Facebook at Beer in Asia, beerasia.net, and I'd love if you guys could give us a like or a follow. So over the next few minutes, what I want to share is some instigations, some thoughts, and some tactics. And basically, I want to start on the basis that I think right now, the data is showing, and research from research agencies like WARC, like GWI, is showing that right now people are massively indulging in binging on anxiety, very, very anxiety-inducing news. And for a moment and for an afternoon, I'd encourage you to stop the press, stop reading the negative insights. And if you start thinking and start seeing there is actually some positives that are coming out of the situation. Now, I'm not intending to make light of the challenging situation. My heartfelt thoughts go out to everyone affected. I think all of us are affected. I've been locked down for nearly 3 weeks. But there are some things that are happening that you can potentially harness and tap into as a business, digitally in particular, that I think that you can really start and react to and really start your COVID-19 marketing response on a good note. I think number one, now this data in the next few slides is sourced from WARC, and WARC's recent research basically proved that 95% of people are spending more or only time at home. Now, if you're a brewer or a retailer, you've now got to change your marketing and stop thinking about reaching people outside, reaching people on a vast variety of outdoor, offline, different digital platforms. You've now got to think about your consumer, your drinker, as being largely locked down at home. And there's all sorts of implications for that. One of the things at the most basic level is how can you keep people engaged and entertained if they can't visit your tap room? Can you do webinars? Can you do live social content, kind of like the type that we're doing right now to keep people engaged and to keep them entertained while they're stuck at home and maybe going a little bit crazy? Another thing that's really important to realize as well is that there's actually been a 70% increase in the amount of time people are spending on their phones. Now, this isn't exactly rocket science, but it's a really important thing to take into account as you're now crafting your COVID-19 response strategy and how you're going to get out of this crisis and how you're going to keep your business alive in these difficult times. Have you pivoted all your marketing onto platforms like Instagram Live, like Facebook Live? Can people easily find and access your digital, your social content, and access content in a way that's really mobile friendly so that you're not creating big complex images that are hard to read on mobile? One of the common mistakes I've been seeing some delivery businesses doing is putting out far too very, very complicated menus and things that really aren't easy to read on a mobile that's more designed for desktop. Another thing that's really, really positive in a way, and it's something that it can be very encouraging news, particularly in the markets, obviously, where beer delivery is still being encouraged and is allowed, is that there's been a massive change in terms of how people's consumer behavior is really approaching any kind of products that were normally previously purchased online. And this data from Ipsos is really, really interesting. And what it's showing in markets like Vietnam, India, China, Russia, really pretty much everywhere apart from Germany, I don't know why that is, people are now much more comfortable at ordering products online that they would normally buy in a store. Now, I imagine beer largely falls under that category for many people. They generally in the past maybe have never really gotten into the habit of ordering. You've now got a golden window of opportunity to build a delivery culture amongst your target audience. This crisis is not going to end in a few weeks. And I think anyone saying that is being a bit too optimistic. But on the other hand, this is also an opportunity where you can now sell to people that maybe a few weeks ago weren't keen on deliveries, and all that has completely changed. What I think is a really positive step for anyone right now getting their delivery business kick-started. And I think we'll talk a bit about that down the track in the Q&A section with Alex and Charles. This is something that I'm about to show that may be news to some of you. Facebook advertising is now cheaper than it was a couple of months ago. As you can imagine, a lot of people are spending a lot more time on Facebook. In the world of digital advertising, that means inventory has increased. basically there's been a 4 times increase in the amount of ad space that Facebook can sell. So what's happened is the cost per click and the cost for people seeing ads, what's known as CPM or CPC, has gone down. Now, in Southeast Asia and East Asia, it hasn't been as dramatic as in Europe, but generally across the board, like, I'm seeing much more value being derived from paid media spending by my clients, and for instance, in Vietnam and around Southeast Asia. So right now, if you've never had the confidence to get into Facebook paid advertising, it's probably going to be the cheapest time in the next few months to actually get active on it and start testing and learning, even if you're using a small budget. And this decline is not just for big agencies, this is for everyone. And it's across industries as well, as you can see on the slide here. So that's a really positive, something really positive that's come out of this situation. So besides insights, one of the things I think that all of us have felt, I've definitely felt it. I've been completely paralyzed on some days. I've woken up, opened up my phone, saw all this terrible news coming in. And honestly, my mental health has taken a hit. If I'm being really upfront and honest with you guys, it's been a really, really challenging few weeks for me personally. I'm sure it's been the same for you as well. And I send out a lot of love and empathy to everyone. I know everyone on this call is being affected in some way. Now, however, too much worry and too much anxiety can be paralyzing. And I think that as brands and as marketing leaders and as businesses, part of your job is to inspire people and to lead. And I think in the craft beer scene in the last few weeks, there have been some businesses that have pressed pause too quickly, that have maybe shut down operations. And there's been a bit of a moment of panic and worry. I think now is the time to really sit down, start thinking about the role of your brand purpose. Maybe it's the first time you've even ever thought about this. You've never done any serious branding and marketing. And really start thinking about how can you inspire people in a situation that's so negative and challenging, not just as well your customers, but also your employees, your fans, people on Facebook. How can you make a positive change? Now, you might be thinking, as a lot of my clients outside of the craft beer industry have been thinking, we should stop marketing. Now's the time to stop. Now no one can do anything. The world's going to stop. Well, the world keeps turning. People still need to keep on buying products. Beer is something that keeps people happy when they're in lockdown. There's nothing wrong with having a couple of pints in the luxury of your home in front of a TV after a day of virtual telecommuting. And a lot of people, though, lots of brand marketers that I know have been very, very worried about people's attitude to your marketing. They might, and I've been hearing some negative comments. I've seen them on Facebook, people saying you shouldn't be doing any advertising, you shouldn't be communicating it. Well, actually the research, and this slide here is a slide from Social Bakers. What they looked at was the reactions on Facebook posts across a huge variety of brands on topics related to the coronavirus. And in the last week, what's happened, right, is if you made a post about a coronavirus, relating to the coronavirus and your brand's response, what's actually happened is the love emoji is now much more common than on other topics. To look at it another way, people are now responding with that love emoji very commonly when you make a post about how your brand is dealing with COVID-19. So what this really means is that people want you to talk about, as a business, how you're responding. They want you to share how you're reacting. They don't just want you to be talking about driving sales. They also want you to be honest and be upfront and share how your brand, how you're working with your team, what your team is doing to react to this horrible situation. So this is clear, real data that proves that if people are clicking love emojis on posts related to coronavirus by brands, that means that you need to get out there and start telling your customers how you're responding and how you're reacting, and people will appreciate that. I think one of the key, one of the brands that's really been hard hit, one of the first brands that's been hard hit by COVID-19 is Seven Bridges Brewing in Da Nang. Seven Bridges had, unfortunately, some guests who were apparently sick with COVID, or they didn't know that, but they ended up having to shut down their tap room, and it really impacted their brewing operations. A lot of their team got locked in the tap room. They were in a really, really challenging situation. But what I really liked about how Seven Bridges dealt with the situation was they were honest, they were upfront, they've constantly kept communicating, giving out daily vlogs by their founder, by their CEO, and by different members of their team, constantly sharing and telling people how much support they need. And they've even started setting up regional delivery services around Vietnam. And I think even for me, I was so touched by seeing how much difficulty and how much of a challenge they went through because of everything they communicated. And I actually bought a 6-pack of beer from them. And I think, if you can go out there and tell people that your business is actually suffering, it's actually a really important way to actually keep your consumers still buying your products. If you're a brewer, if you're a brewery or a beer retailer, you are in business. You owe it to your customers, to your drinkers to stay in business and to keep paying salaries and to keep that beer moving. And I think one really positive example from the Great Depression, which is a period of history that you should really be looking at now, because I think it's going to be similar to what we're going to be going through in the coming months and years. In the Great Depression, the businesses that stayed active, that kept on communicating, that kept on innovating and trying new tactics, they were the businesses that survived and came out of the stormy seas at the other end much more successful. Procter & Gamble, P&G, is one of the world's most famous, one of the world's biggest FMCG brands. One of the things they did was, as much as they did a small cut to advertising initially, they kept going, they kept active. And what they realized, and I think in a story that I think is really relevant to a lot of you maybe who haven't been so confident to engage in digital until now, they launched what is known as soap operas. So a lot of people don't know that the term soap opera literally is actually tied back to the fact that P&G's soap brands sponsored soap operas on radio. Radio at that time was a bit like digital today. It was something very, very new and exciting in the 1920s and 30s. It was something really, really that was a way to communicate straight to people in their homes. Well, P&G created this content where they knew their customers were sitting around at home, they were bored, so they created entertainment through the radio. Now, it's a really, really cool example because it created such, resonance and salience in popular culture. They created an entire genre of entertainment. Now, I'm not saying that you're going to be able to do that as a brewery, maybe a small brewery, depending on where you are, or as a retailer. But can you do the same as P&G and keep people engaged and entertained through maybe new channels or new ways of communicating during this really difficult time, particularly going back to that insight I touched on before? Everyone's stuck at home, so they need some entertainment and they maybe need some positivity in their life as well. Now, I think a lot of brands initially at the start of this pandemic, this situation, were talking about donating things, shutting things down. Well, some brands have actually done really targeted positive social steps. So one of the things that a lot of the marketing consultancies and insights consultancies are saying, which I really encourage you to do as well, is if you can do something positive, try and do it in your community, amongst your customers, amongst your employees. Don't go out there and start necessarily giving out medical supplies when that's not really your core expertise. And maybe you're not the best person at doing that and organizing that. And what Jameson and Miller Lite did in the United States was they actually created funds to support bartenders. Now, I think that's a great way of recognizing there's a group of people who are being really affected in our industry, and how can you help and support them? And I think there must be thousands of different ways that you can help people in your community, whether it's people who live around your brewery, around your retailer, whether it's your staff, whether it's customers. What are the ways that you can meaningfully help, but from a craft beer perspective or from an industry perspective, knowing what you're good at and what you're maybe not so good at? And of course, one of the examples that's going around very widely right now is many breweries have set up hand sanitizer. They've switched their production from beer. Some distilleries have done this as well. They've shifted their production from distillery, from making gin into making hand sanitizer. If you can do that, great. If you can't, there's probably thousands and thousands of little ways that you can help the communities around you and put that out there into the media to really keep your brand front and center. Now, this is the time to zigzag. And I think this is really the time now where you need to flex your creative muscles. You're probably spending a lot of time at home. You've probably got a lot of downtime. Dedicate a little bit of that time every day to coming up with innovative marketing ideas. One of the things that I've been doing with some of my team members in my day job is we've actually been sitting down and having brainstorms about proactive ideas we can give to our clients. Well, if you run a business, you've got a lot of time now, probably with some team members who haven't got so much time either. Can you book a brainstorming every few days or once a week where you can come up with new creative ideas? You can kind of train some of your team members to build some simple graphics and start putting content out there onto social media, onto your site, getting active and doing positive little steps. One of the things that I really like, and one of the examples of a brand in Malaysia, Taps Beer Bar, who are importers and run a chain, one of Malaysia's oldest chain of craft beer bars. They've actually digitized all the things they do normally and put it onto Instagram Live. Now, a lot of people don't even know there's Instagram Live as a channel, but I think it's really awesome that Taps has taken this step to really radically digitize, for instance, their music, so their live music. They're getting Alvin, who's their founder, to make a Dalgona Stout. They're doing a series of live sessions and kind of creating a sense of almost like building a TV channel, but through Instagram Live. They're also doing sessions with their retailers and also with beers that they import and distribute. For instance, I think tonight they're actually doing a drinking session with the founder of Young Master from Hong Kong. So they're actually working with their suppliers, their partners, to create content, put it online, and engage all those Malaysians who are stuck in a lockdown and trying to be entertained and keeping themselves from being too bored on a Friday night. Another thing that Alex, who's on this call right now, Alex's company, Pasteur Street Brewing Company, located in Vietnam, has been doing virtual tap rooms. And I've participated in a few of them. You can see there, I managed to have an entertaining background to my Zoom with Mr. Tony Montana being featured. It's a lot of fun. It's very, very irreverent. We're actually going to be jumping onto the tap room if you'd like to. After this, we'll give a link at the end of the Q&A. We'd love to have you guys join. It's lots and lots of fun. It's not serious at all. But what I love about this idea the most is it really replicates that offline sense of community from a tap room where everyone can go in, have a pint, shoot the shit with your friends, meet some cool new people. That whole experience has been transferred to Zoom. And now it doesn't seem very organic and real, but actually what's happening now is people are making friendships and Pasteur Street's building momentum. Other breweries are joining. Our marketing directors and members of other breweries are joining in there as well. So if you guys haven't already got a virtual tap room in your city or your country, pick it off, get it moving. I saw the Malaysian craft beer community led by Mok Icek, who's a very cool guy who runs Farmers Bar. They're starting to do the same thing as well, where they're having live happy hours through the Malaysian craft beer Facebook page. So that's really cool, and it's a really cool way of digitizing your offline experience. Now, there was a brewery in the Philippines, and maybe someone can help me comment below. I was trying to find the example yesterday and today. There was a brewery in the Philippines that was doing Instagram live streaming of their brew day. Now, I think that's really cool. It's a way of taking a part of your operations. It's maybe not super consumer facing, putting it online, and actually making it a really cool educational experience for people to learn a bit more about how their beer is made and how that delicious IPA comes straight from the brewery down to your pint glass. So anything you can do to digitize your operations, your tap rooms, all of that, get out there and do it now. Do it this weekend. It'll be one of the ways that you can keep that connection with your community alive. And so at the end of this crisis, they'll remember that you did really positive stuff and they actually kept engaged with you, and they'll actually be buying your beer most likely once this is all over. Now, one of the things that I'm hearing a lot from a lot of people and part of a lot of conversations is how they're getting annihilated on delivery fees by Grab and by other delivery services. Now, these services like Grab, like GoViet, Gojek, depending on where you are, depending on who it is, there's a lot of different services that act as the middleman to deliver beer, food from your bar, your restaurant, your brewery, right to the end consumer. Now, the problem is, and I don't have to tell you guys this, they cut deeply into your profit margins. And if you don't own that relationship with the customer, Grab doesn't only have that interaction, but they can screw it up. They can mess all your food up, spill it everywhere. They can drop the beer. They can be rude to the customer. It might be the one interaction that person has with another person in the day, apart from their family. And worst of all, they have all the data. So they know what customers are ordering, and they can actually look at all the data from all the different craft breweries and bars, take that data and actually start doing something with it. So one brand that I really admire that's taken a response and really done something different and zigged when everybody else is zagging is My Burger Lab. Now, My Burger Lab is a really fantastic F&B chain in Malaysia, very, very innovative. I was really lucky once to sit in one of their burger development sessions about 6-7 years ago with their founder, Renyi. And one of the things at the time they said is, how Instagrammable is a burger? And for me, that was a real light bulb moment, right? I'd never thought of thinking about food or a drink as how Instagrammable it is. Now today, that's part of our normal business planning, right? I'm sure for many of you, you want Instagrammable tap rooms, Instagrammable restaurants, pastry stouts that look beautiful when they're in a big pint glass. But what Burger Lab did is that they've now switched from trying to operate around the margins of Malaysia's lockdown and trying to get as many orders in as they can, rather than getting all their profits sucked up by Grab. They've actually switched to a break-even only business. So what they've said is we're only going to make 150 burgers for each store, for each shift. Now, that's a radical move that's created scarcity. And what they've basically said is, we're only going to make 150 burgers. Then what's going to happen is we're going to run out and we're going to close. And even better, ideally, can you come in and pick up from us? Or can you, if you do use Grab, fine, but please try and do takeaway to support our business. Now, they've said that, and they've put this very bold statement out, and it's got a huge amount of positive feedback. Everyone's now commenting, saying, I'm not going to order your burgers through Grab. I'm going to come into your shop and do takeaway. Now, this is an idea where by creating scarcity, by limiting supply, you're actually going to not only create more demand, but you're actually going to create a conversation with your customers about how people are responding and how it's gonna create an engagement with them. Many customers don't actually realize how much Grab is eating into your margins. So it's something that's really, really important to communicate clearly and to try and make sure that they're going through delivery options that benefit your bottom line. And one of the things that My Burger Lab's done, after doing that, they've now started resharing all the photos that people take and put onto Facebook stories and Instagram stories. So they're essentially sharing all the content that when the burger gets delivered to your house, the person takes a photo, they reshare it. Now, lots of businesses are doing this already. I know this is not a radically new tactic, but if you're not doing this, I really, really encourage you to do it. Every time someone mentions your brand on Facebook, on Instagram, reshare it. It's the cheapest way of building out a content strategy. You can even allocate a junior member of your staff just to reshare and repost positive reviews and positive stories. Anything you can do to stay active on social media and on your website and across digital channels, anything you can do is positive. All right, this suggestion is something that probably no one's told you yet. And I'm watching right now, a lot of brands are sleepwalking like zombies into making a huge screw up. If you have an email marketing system that's automatic right now, you need to stop it now. If you have any kind of communication that's automatic, whether that's chatbots, whether that's emails, whether that's automatic SMSs, you need to press pause and halt that, take the wheel, and make sure it's brand appropriate. One of the first questions I'm going to ask you after this, and if I talk to any of you after the session, is have you reviewed all the marketing activities you're putting out now, or that you're about to put out, even automatic ones, automatic emails that say automatic emails on your birthday, and have you made sure those are appropriate for the times and the circumstances? Not everyone wants to receive a cherry birthday email asking, giving them a tap room discount when your tap rooms are closed. It's something that's very, very important. Now, I also touched on before some of the brands that are doing a good job in terms of pivoting, in terms of turning off that automated marketing activity and switching to more positive things. This brewery in Brazil is actually this post of this brewery that's switching from producing booze to producing alcohol gel. This was actually the most viral piece of content on Instagram in the last 2 weeks, which is really, really interesting. And Social Bake has actually pulled out this data. So it just shows you that if you are doing positive things in your community and you are doing positive stuff, share it. Don't just expect it to be picked up. And this is where you've got to switch away from automated marketing, your old school marketing mindset. You've got to switch to a new school one, which is about being really agile. Any cool stuff you do, put it out on Facebook. Don't be afraid of being positive about your own brand. Don't be afraid of sharing the awesome stuff that you're doing, particularly if it's helping the community and its corporate social responsibility. So one of the other things to think about, and this is a framework that if anyone's really interested, I can share this framework and the whole PowerPoint it's actually from another brand, it's from BBH. They did this really interesting framework around thinking about now that people are at home, they're on their phones, they're panicked, they're anxious. What are the ways that you can look at people's needs and how can your product help address these needs? So for instance, if people are bored at home, they need better food ideas, can you send them a pre-made meal pack that comes with, maybe they can cook your burger. Maybe you can give the meat raw. Maybe you can save some cooking time at your end, help train them to cook, give them your recipes, and bundle in a beer with it as well. Another thing that you can look at is right now people are starved of entertainment options. Everyone's on Netflix, HBO. In the Philippines alone, streaming usage is up 90% week on week. That's 90% week on week in the Philippines. So can you engage and entertain people through music? One of the things I saw Heart of Darkness has done is Heart of Darkness actually put a Spotify playlist. They took their Taproom playlist and put it on Spotify. So you can listen to the Taproom, you can have that Taproom ambience, the music, but you can listen to it on your own Spotify through your headphones, which is quite cool. And I think it's really important, and I'll skip to this side fast, but if you are interested in seeing this full framework, drop me a line after this conversation, and I can send you this whole PowerPoint that our BBH put together around how you can kind of address people's new needs and create content and add value around that and do stuff, whether that's online, whether that's ads. There's a lot of different opportunities to engage people in fresh and unique ways, not just through photos on Facebook. So I want to wrap up with a few suggestions. The key thing now is to stop reacting and start planning. You've had a lot of downtime. There's a lot of things that are changing. Yes, things are going to change every week, but you've now got to start thinking about how are you going to survive and what's going to happen and how people are going to think about you after this crisis. What are the things that you did to engage people to keep them happy? They're going to remember that. And there are some golden immutable marketing laws that have been proven time and time again that are effective guiding policies that are going to make your marketing strategy, whatever business you're in, really, really more effective. The number one is you should be dividing your budget roughly. And when I say budget, I mean your entire branding and advertising budget. But if you want to keep it simple, you can just think about your paid budget. When I say paid, I mean Facebook ads, paid search. You should be dividing that budget 60% into brand building and 40% into sales. Now that can go up and down each month, but this is the optimum mix and the optimum matrix of content that's been proven across thousands and thousands of marketing case studies as the best way to get the biggest bang for your buck and the biggest ROI from your marketing spending. Now, when I talk about brand building, that's content and advertising that creates mental energy so people can remember you. It'll influence a future sale. It won't drive a sale today. It's focused on a broader audience, not just your current drinkers. It's long term. It means that you stay in the forefront of engaging people and keeping people entertained or informed or making them have some kind of emotional reaction. And that emotional reaction is really, really important in brand building ads, because you can't just run sales driving ads. You can't just tell people buy a beer, buy a beer, buy a beer, discount, discount, discount. It doesn't work. And it's been proven by Les Binet and Peter Fields. I'm happy to share this whole presentation with you that they've created around marketing effectiveness. They've looked at tens of thousands of marketing case studies across industries, across countries. And they've found that if you can do that split between brand building and sales activation, you will win. And it'll be really, really effective. And another way and another angle to look at this brand building and this split is to think about it like this. This is going to be a marathon. This is not a sprint. You've now got to work out how can you sustainably drive largely a delivery-driven business, but at the same time keep people engaged. People aren't going to keep on ordering from you week after week after week if you aren't keeping them engaged and doing things like virtual tap rooms, providing them with music, providing them with entertainment, constantly engaging them. And I really, really encourage you guys to look at your budgets and make sure you have at least got a small percentage, if not 60%, at least a bit dedicated to brand building and really getting that emotional message out about your brand. Another law, this is very simple. Do not put more than one message in an ad. Yes, you can have a bunch of messages in an ad, you can, but the best ads have one message at a time. And the Link database, which is this huge database of advertising research, proves that if there's one message, there's 100% recall or people forget about it. Now, when you put two messages in, only 65% of people might remember one of those messages. And the more messages you put, now a message could be, you've got one offer, two offers, three offers. If they're not connected, split them into different ads. If you've got 3 delivery offers going, split them into 3 delivery ads on Facebook or on Instagram or on paid search. And that's really important that you have, even in photography as well, try and keep one message at a time, one bold photo. I'm no photographer, but I can tell you, if you can have one bold photo of your product per ad, it'll always be more effective. I can tell you this time and time again, I always see this, particularly on Instagram. It's the best way to get engagement. Now, getting people talking is super, super important. If people are talking about you, your share of market increases. If they're not talking about you, your share of market decreases. And if you think about that in conjunction with all those tips and tricks that I shared with you that other brewers are doing, whether they're going out there and having like taps, having Instagram live of their live music, whether it's Pasteur Street doing their virtual tap rooms, whether it's that brew in the Philippines, which I need to find out who they were, who were doing Instagram live of their brew day. You've got to keep people talking about you, otherwise they'll forget about you. Doubly so in these times, doubly so. And I leave you with one interesting idea that Heart of Darkness pulled in recently. I just saw it on my Facebook. They've got a work from home challenge where what they're basically doing is saying, take a photo of you working from home and you get sent a free 6-pack. Now, yes, it is competition and yes, it's still promotional mechanics, but I think it's a great way to start thinking about how can you engage people with all their new emerging behaviors. People are stuck on webinars. That's where Pasteur Street's jumped in and done that really smart move around a virtual tap room. Heart of Darkness is tapping into people who are working from home. I saw some of the New Zealand brewers. Behemoth, for instance, is allowing you to buy much larger product sizes, huge slabs of beer to keep you fueled throughout the rest of the situation. So I really encourage you guys, and that's the last slide I'm going to share, really encourage you to, even if I've shared one idea that's cool, test and learn. You've got nothing to lose right now. Everyone's in the same boat as you. Everyone's panicked. Everyone's anxious. We're all adapting to the new normal. Test and learn, try out some new tactics, and I really hope you can be successful. And guys, thanks for listening to that. I think we're going to be tuning over to a Q&A session where we're going to be talking a bit more about some tactics and strategies to survive during this time.